fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going with the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God!
God, what?
To the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Ray Alfala into the outside wall.
He's gonna pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's gonna get them all done with. What amazing!
Racely to the inside goes Logan Clapman is gonna touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save!
Look to the outside, and Cronkite goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
Trying, there's contact though.
Slide left of the racetrack. Chris Renner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cut back here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schumacher.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the streets of Belle for the 5th round of the Ozicar Skip Barber Series. Getting straight into the action here on Simspeed TV. My name is Ryan Jones. David Haynes is alongside me, and we are gridding up, ready for race 1 of 2 around what is going to be a very frantic couple of races. 8 laps in length for this one, around our 14-turn, 3.78-kilometre street circuit, the only street circuit currently in the iRacing service that's completed. Long Beach exists as a test track facility. And we've got 20 seconds until the lights run out. Your top 5 are Mitchell McLeod, Russell Clark, Cameron Dance, John Schultz, and Aiden Coote. Mitchell McLeod showing up for the first time this season and absolutely showing up the field and qualifying. A 2/10 gap back to second place. Clark, it's pretty tight though from there on back. Time runs out, and we are going to go racing. Here we go. Ready for 8 laps around Belle Isle. The red lights are on. Out they go, and away we go. Nice, even, steady start in these Skip Barbers as we walk away from the line and then into the very tricky right and left to open up the lap. A lot of drama normally through here and over the crest as well, but leads us onto the straight towards turn 3.
Yeah, pretty even jump from everyone at the front of the grid. That's about what we expect, and this leads down to turn 3, one of your best overtaking opportunities, and already Russell Clark is looking to defend. He has a lot to defend for as well as one of our points leaders.
He does, and around the outside of him, Cameron Dance, very squeezy on the exit of the corner. He might just complete this up at turn 4, and he does. Russell Clark having to use a little bit of the grass and curb on the inside to navigate the corner. That relinquishes the spot. And now he's in front of his teammate, John Schultz. So they run 3rd and 4th. Good launch for Cam to pick up a spot there on lap number 1 as Mitchell McLeod has pulled out just a little bit of a gap down the back straight. Someone's gone around in the background, though.
Nathan Verney, some troubles for him, just trying to put the power down, coming down onto the strand, and he has gone all the way around. Someone's found the barrier in the background there as well.
Nathan Verney. Robert Cook had a decent 4-wheel slide coming out of the pack straight there. That was interesting. And another one behind him getting a little bit out of shape too. A lot of drivers just struggling on these cold tyres. A lot of drifts happening. That was Matt Marsh in behind Robert Cook, both getting their slide on. In fact, Aiden Coote in front of them got his slide on as well. That looked like it might have been contact further back coming out of that very tricky right-hander where the tyre bundle really approaches quickly on the outside, doesn't it?
Yeah, indeed. And it's a relatively low grip surface here as well to go with how cold the tyres are at the very start of the race. So you saw everyone just scrambling for a bit of grip on the first lap, and now they've begun lap 2.
Up the inside, that's going to be move stuck for Tony Clark. Just got to make sure he holds on with a good exit out of turn 2. A little bit up the road. There's a defensive maneuver. Angus Cook has got Kevin Henderson looking to the middle and Matt Marsh on the outside. And it will be that order as they run through turn 3, but Henderson now covering off the crossover from Matt Marsh. Does a good job of it. So lots of little skirmishes and exchanges on the opening lap and a bit. And McLeod has not gotten away at all now from Cameron Dance. He's reeled him in from that about 6 car length advantage he had at this spot on lap 1. It's now about 4 or 5 car lengths. Half a second the gap between them.
Yeah, top 10 still all in a line as we look at our leading man, Mitchell McLeod, Dance, Clark, Schultz, all behind there. And pick your braking zones ever so carefully, gentle with the curbs, and you get a lot of speed by playing it close to those concrete barriers, but that is a risky game.
Very risky around this track anyway because of the curbs and the bumps. You can't really afford to miss your line at all because otherwise, you'll go to the fence like someone did in the background there. Potentially Kevin Henderson, and it is up on the embankment. Tricky spot for him to navigate himself away from.
Indeed, that's rough, but he's not far from the pit entry there as well, though. That's one to keep an eye on. Not in this race, but definitely in our next race. So this one, just the shorter race for race 1. 8 laps, and we are already motoring on through it. And Cam Dance is motoring onto the back of Mitchell McLeod.
Looking up the inside, the 2 teammates, and also Cameron Dance on Mitchell McLeod for the lead of the race over the curb. He gets it done at turn 3, but McLeod's going to fight back. Will they go side by side through turn 4? No, they won't, because that is usually a recipe for disaster. And now McLeod's got to be careful that John Schultz doesn't sneak up his inside after getting by Russell Clark a little bit earlier in the back.
Yeah, Schultz and Clark, teammates flying in formation once again. We've seen that quite a few rounds here. And so Schultz can go on the attack here, and he doesn't need to be quite as worried about Clark behind as if they weren't friends. So this gives just a little bit of breathing space, a little bit of opportunity for Schultz to try and set up this move. But of course, his friend and teammate in Clark won't be patient forever.
No, they won't. Still a few laps to go on this one. That was very tight. In fact, there was a little bit of contact between Mites and Williams as Mites tried to get around the outside. I think Williams had the car locked up on the brakes. That's why his Skip Barber went straight into the right rear tyre. Luckily, punctures aren't particularly likely from that sort of contact, regardless of whether they should be or not.
Indeed, so just a couple 4-car battles here and there around the field at this point. There's our one for our lead. A little bit deeper down, you're looking at Cook and Marsh. And there's also some sort of back in the 13th, 14th position here. But Angus Cook has got a great run through turn 1 there to set up to get the power better in turn 2 over that little hump on the exit that catches you out if you're driving a Corvette pace car. And that helps him carry the speed down towards basically the biggest braking zone on the circuit.
Not quite close enough, though, to make it work. Wow. Aiden Coote almost understeered straight into the tyre bundle, and that checked up Robert Cook and Angus Cook, and it almost allowed Marsh a sniff up the inside, a sniff that was quickly covered by Cook. Just had to move it over about a car's width to make sure Marsh didn't go for that move. In fact, Coote recovered well from that mistake, and he's actually pulled a slight margin. So this is 8 laps, and race 2 will be 14 laps, I believe. And that will feature a pit stop as well. This one's a straight fight, so no one will come into pit lane, as there's potentially a move. Cameron Dance almost whacked the concrete coming out of that corner.
Yeah, so he's still got the lead. McLeod right behind him, and Schultz in third. They've dropped a little bit of time here to Russell Clark. You can see that there's nothing in it, so Dance has to defend, lose a little bit of time in a couple of places. It almost looks like the yellow machine of Coote and his train is actually catching our front 4 as they're about to reach halfway.
Yeah, we should take a look at the lap times when they cross the line here and see what Dance has done compared to Aiden Coote back there in 5th position, as Dance comes across the line and he will put down a 1 minute 44.475, 44.1 for Aiden Coote. So he is catching about 0.3 quicker. So too was Russell Clark, John Schultz running 3rd and 4th. So this could very much condense as we get into our last couple of laps. speaking of, the gap between McLeod and Schultz really condensed out of turn 2, but Schultz actually backed out of it, which is interesting, David.
Yeah, not quite what I thought we were going to see, the way he was closing in there. Maybe that's the game here for Schultz and Clark, is they just keep finishing in the top 5. I think Russell Clark's in a very, very good position championship-wise.
It is a pretty tough place to pass. Any street circuit is tough to pass because when you go offline and you make a mistake, there's no grass, no dirt, nothing to catch you. You're going straight into the fence, and those little offs that you normally have on a regular circuit turn into race enders in the confines of street racing. So there's a look there as well. Plus, naturally, the track is a little bit narrower too, which doesn't help matters.
Yeah, similar concept to Albert Park, slightly different execution between that circuit and here. This is good stuff. Coot is still leading this train. Marsh in the purple machine did get past Angus Cook as he made a mistake a couple laps ago, though.
There's Peter Wilkinson back in 18th place, trying to pick up a spot at the moment over that man in front, Isaac Summers. If he can get a good exit out of these last two 90-degree corners to the right, he might be able to have a look down at turn 1, which is tricky, but it can be done if you have the bravery to hold it around the outside. But let's go back to the front, because Mitchell McLeod's got to run, and Cameron Dance is going to be under a lot of pressure down at turn 3. Great exit from turn 2 has set this one up, and it's McLeod versus Dance. Role reversal from the last time those two were side by side, and after the fastest lap of the race got put down by the Torque Inc. driver, he goes back to the front and the lead of the race.
Yep, solid move, well executed, clean between those two guys at the lead here. Does keep Schultz well and truly in the picture, and you can still see the looming threat of Cook and those behind there. Your top 8 all in one shot on the back straight beside the water.
A big old boat or ship that goes sailing past as well every now and then, which is said to be a frame rate killer. Good side though when you're gridding up, waiting to get rolling, when you have a rolling start here. Matt Marsh still unable to find any progress at the moment. He's got by Angus Cook though, so that's a little bit of progress, but unfortunately it seems to be a never-ending stream of cars. Robert Cook right in front of him, a little bit slow out of the corner, but Marsh had a slide himself trying to avoid driving into that gearbox.
I'll shill for them any day, but this double right-hander here is one of the great corners where iRacing's laser scanning seriously matters, because there's some bumps you want to stay off, there's some camber that you really need to hook into, and if the track surface was just flat there, it'd be a boring corner, but it's a challenge lap after lap because of those slight variations and imperfections in the road. And that's where you see some drivers make up a whole heap of time and others understeer wide into the barrier there.
Speaking of understeering, Cameron Dance had a lot of it through turn 1. That hurt him through turn 2, down the straight and into turn 3 as a result. Very much a compounding effect when you make a mistake at turn 1. And Matt Marsh made one because he's fallen back behind Angus Cook.
Yeah, that he has a little bit of trouble there in the opening sectors for Matt Marsh. Oh, Mitchell McLeod has been in the wall. Damage for Mitchell McLeod.
And the left side of that car is no longer lined up like it should be. That car is crabbing down the back straight, and that probably will be race done for him. Motion simulation replay. Riding on board with what was our race leader at the time, almost understeered into the fence there. In fact, I wonder if he did. Turns it in too early, hits the inside, and it fires him to the outside catch fence. Absolutely nothing he could do about that once the initial piece of contact was made.
So many corners around here where the apex and the track out point are exactly on the concrete barrier. So to go fast, you've got to get close to the wall, and that is just one of those cases of thrown it in, expecting a certain amount of understeer. It's gripped up just a little bit more, and the tiniest contact with the inside wall sent him hard into the outside wall. That's a shame because we were shaping up a fantastic battle between McLeod and Dance. Now it's just Dance and Schultz 1-2 away from the pack on the final lap.
So suddenly, John Schultz, big opportunity to steal away the race win on this final lap. Is he close enough? Well, it's close enough to make Dance defend. He covers the inside. Can Schultz send it around the long way? No, he doesn't. As Dance jumps over the curb. Really unsettling at the rear end of his car, but he kept it stable enough to maintain the lead. Probably one big opportunity left, and that's the end of the back straight. Schultz needs to be good through here. Slight mistake from Dance as he clips the curbs. Exit out of here is absolutely critical. I'll tell you what, this might be on down here, because Schultz is right there, isn't he? He's one car length back, and he's closing and closing. Does he go to the inside? He can't, because Dance is shutting the door. This will be brave if he pulls this off. They're both sliding, and John Schultz, the rear end, trying to turn around on him. He has to back out of it, and that should be race done for Cameron Dance, fending him off. What a great little scrap on the last lap. Sean Doyle having a scrap of his own as well with Tony Clark. Sorry, that's Julian Mookie in front of him. Mookie should be able to fend him off unless Doyle goes for the big old send up the inside here. He's not quite able to get there. Cameron Dance then. A good launch off the line. Good patience is going to pay off, fending off the last lap charge from John Schultz. Going to be race win number 5 of the season for Cameron Dance. He gets it done in race 1 at Belle Isle. Schultz will settle for second. Russell Clark just holds him off to finish in third.
It was an interesting little battle back there as well, where Hayden Coote ended up losing out a spot to Robert Cook there. So Robert Cook finishing in 4th. Russell Clark held on to 3rd. And of course, there's still some battles coming to the checkered flag here. We'll meet in the sandwich, Isaac Summers.
3 different lines across the line, none of them close enough to actually snatch it away. Summers will finish ahead of Wilkinson. And unfortunately for him, behind Dennis Hancock. 24 cars will finish this one, by the way, from the 29 that started, which is not a bad ratio for a street circuit. Jack Patterson and Vic Bentfeldson, Jeremy Davis, Philip Powell, Jeremy Bush, all running into race-ending issues. It looks like maybe... No, Mitchell McLeod has actually retired. He managed to stay on track for a long time, though.
Yeah, I thought the wheels were going to come all the way off the wagon, but that was not the case in the end for him. And we did see a couple cars in the wall, but I think what was maybe a refreshing change from sometimes is not all of them were in the wall on lap 1.
Yeah, did a fantastic job to get through that first lap, didn't they? Let's go through our race results in a moment after we take a look at this Motum simulation replay. Out of the final corner.
Was already behind Robert Cook at that point. You remember there was a point in time where
Yes.
Cook was in 4th leading that little train. I think it was sort of early on the final lap, maybe. Not sure.
Turn
Obviously,
3.
he just only lost 1 spot out of it.
Let's go through and look at our full results. Cameron Dance gets it done by 1.2 seconds in the end over John Schultz. Russell Clark in 3rd. Robert Cook and Aidan Coote 4th and 5th after a last lap swap between them. Matt Marsh claims 6th ahead of Angus Cook in 7th. Julian Mookie and Sean Doyle 8th and 9th, which will then battling on the final lap. And Tony Clark will cross the line in 10th place there.
Yeah, 11th place was Matthew Mites. 12th was Dean Williams. Braden Martin, bit of a charge through the field from 19th to finish in 13th place there. Russell Marsh 14th, 15th place Dennis Hancock, Isaac Summers 16th, Peter Wilkinson 17th. We saw them come across the line 3 abreast, and then Kevin Henderson in 18th, Ira Felberg finishing 19th, and Connor Brown 20th.
21st went the way of Nathan Verney. Matthew Joy 22nd, Leon Williams 23rd. McLeod ends up getting scored a lap down in 24th. And then, of course, our retirements of Patterson, Bentfeldson, Davis, Howe, and Bush. Stay with us here on Simspeed TV. Still another race to come. Another qualifying session as well to set the grid here at Belle Isle. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, the action resumes in the Ozicar Skip Barber Series. Kill.
Belle into the outside wall.
He's gonna pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's gonna get them all done with. What amazing!
Lee to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is gonna touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save!
Looks to the outside, and Trunkett goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
Trying this contact though.
Slides left to the racetrack. Chris Benner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact. He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cutback here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schumacher, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up the
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?
Welcome back to the island streets of Belle Isle, located in Detroit, North America, and host to round 5 of the Ozicar Skip Barber Series, presented by Simspeed and Virtual Motorsport Mentor here on Simspeed TV. Qualifying is just getting underway now for our second and feature race of the night, which will be a 14-lap one, a 10-minute session to set the grid for that. Big session for Mitchell McLeod, isn't it? He'll be looking to bounce back from probably a disappointing result in the first one.
Yeah, great work to get himself to the lead of the race, and then sort of came undone the way that things can on a street circuit if you're not alert. So into the qualifying session, like you said, 10 minutes. Every driver gets 3 laps. And I guess your first 2 flying laps, then, you've got to be careful, just like in the race, to not stuff it into the wall.
Yeah, with the way you have to warm up the tyres, your best lap is often your second and maybe your third if you've kept the tyre life in it enough. So, yes, you can reset if you smack the wall on, say, lap number 2, but then you're never going to get that second flying lap, because you'll go out for a hot lap and you only have 1 attempt left. So it's crucial to keep yourself in the confines of the concrete canyon.
You can see a couple of drivers now crossing the line to start their first flying lap. Dean Williams for 1, and in fact, the majority of the field are about that sort of phase right now, of putting in a bit of a sighting lap, their first lap at full speed, and it's still kind of a tyre warm-up lap / banker, really.
Yeah. You just don't quite have that grip when you jump on the brake pedal and then
Braden
turn
Martin.
it in. And Aiden Coote as well might have had exactly the same moment as Braden Martin. Aiden Coote was about 1 millimeter away from the concrete out of turn 3.
I think Braden Martin either looped it or stuffed it into the wall. So there's a couple of these drivers here who really shouldn't have much business pushing too hard on this lap. Yeah, still finding it difficult. So the car looks fine for Aiden Coote, thankfully, though.
Yeah, he'll escape contact, damage, and poor qualifying. Fighting for the championship as well, and needs to get himself up the order. Where did he finish in race 1? It was 5th, wasn't it? After losing out on the last lap. So he needs to make sure he's performing well, because Cameron Dance is on the charge. 5 race wins in what, 6 races now? Potentially?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the only time he doesn't finish first is when he doesn't finish. So it's certainly just raking in some of the race wins across the American leg.
That was close to the wall for the man in question. Fastest lap, first lap, Robert Cook, 1:44.820. So that's the gauntlet that everyone is chasing right now as they record their first laps, and it withstands the test of time for at least for the first half a dozen laps to go on the board. And then Angus Cook immediately eclipses it with a 44.666. That's not a great number. Russell Clark is second. Yeah. Oh, no, we're saved. It's okay. Our overlay on his Simspeed says 667. We're all good.
Narrowly avoided forfeiting our mortal souls for a second there.
I've done that a long time ago, don't worry. Russell Clark second.
Thankfully for Cam Dance, he doesn't have one.
Wow. Clark broke his steering last race. That's why he was very close to losing third right at the end, because he was running very well for the early stages. So he'll be a bit disappointed with that. He was showing some good pace early on. qualifying. Again, good chance to reset. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is why I love the 2-race-2 qualifying session format. McLeod's first lap is a 6.98, so he goes second, just behind Angus Cook, after he got pole in race 1, Mitchell McLeod.
Yeah, you still can't read too much into the first flying laps, but a lot of the drivers are coming around on their second flying lap, and that sometimes the pole is set on that second lap, not the third one. So definitely it'll be a clearer picture once the second flying laps come in, and then after then there's still time to go yet faster. Rob Cook, back to the point.
Yeah, if you looked at it on the graph, the tyre temps would be ever rising, and the tyre life would be ever decreasing. You hit that sweet point where they're about the same, I suppose, and then that's your second lap. But then you've got less tyre life in for your third lap. That's why the second one is often quickest. That's a good one from Russell Clark, a 44.1. 3/10 quicker than Angus Cook. Aiden Coote, another 10th back from there. Robert Cook, a further 10th away in 4th. McLeod's slightly off sync. He's about 30 to 40 seconds behind everyone else in terms of his lap times. So he's still yet to complete his second one. Then we'll have a good idea.
This is really important for Russell Clark because he was leading the championship, might still be at this point, but it needs to be near perfect results from here to the end of the season for Russell Clark, and he can still take this one home.
The end of the season, which is next week, we wrap things up for our TCR and Skip Barber series for this season, Season 5 and Season 2 respectively. 43.9. Mitchell McLeod goes back to provisional pole for race 2, and he does it with about a 10th and a half up his sleeve. That is a very good lap from him.
Vance has also done 2 of his flying laps, and he's still down there in 11th, so this has got to be good.
I suppose if you qualify badly in race 2, it's not quite as bad as race 1 because you know there is the pit window where you can pit to get yourself some clean air, then put in the fast ones in the race to save you. But it's still a danger zone, and that's just heightened when you're on a street circuit. John Schultz just pops up to 3rd. Aiden Coote goes to 2nd. In fact, no, Schultz was 3rd anyway, wasn't he? Either way, Coote went ahead of him. Russell Clark's gone quicker still.
Yep, Clark to 2nd as he finishes his 3rd flying lap. There's only a handful of drivers out there who haven't finished that 3rd flying lap now. Bent Veltson goes to 15th. Cam Dance is about 3/4 of the way around on his lap. Braden Martin shoots up to 8th, but yeah, as all of those times come in, Dance is shuffled down to 14th, and he'll be hoping desperately that this is an improvement.
Mitchell McLeod has gone back to pit lane, so he is done for the session. He won't register 3 time attempts. The run to the line for Cameron Dance, it needs to be good. Top 10 at least, he'll be hoping for 14th right now, trying to improve on a 45.398. He does, 45.066. It is, though, only 10th position for the most winning driver of the season so far.
And you talked about, you know, we've got the longer race length, we've got the pit stops, so maybe the qualifying isn't quite so important, but it's still very, very significant, especially if you don't want to get tangled up in the barriers on lap 1.
This is the 4th lap for Russell Clark. What he'll probably do here is practice his entry to pit lane. You come into pits at full throttle. It's not immediately after a corner or anything. So making sure you've nailed your braking point is critical because it can gain or lose a chunk of time if you brake too early, and a hell of a lot more than that if you brake too late and end up getting a speeding penalty. Exactly what he does is he dives into the lane, gets it slowed down, maybe a fraction too early. He'll make a note of that for the race.
Yeah, Angus Cook, Vic Bent Veltson, we see this often, drivers using a bit of this spare time at the end of the session just to give them that confidence on the pit entry. And how many times have we seen that a good or a bad pit stop makes or breaks your race in this pit stop race?
Yeah, we saw it last night. Jackson Harlow's pit stop was 4 seconds slower than the rest of the field. And as a result, lost the race. So, you know, that's how critical it is. He was comfortable up until that point. That's DCR. This is Skip Barber's. Both taking 2 tyres, though. You don't want to take 4 as usual because the payoff is not big enough for the time you lose stationary in the box. Let's go through our starting grid then. For race 2 here from Belle Isle, Mitchell McLeod is on pole once again. John Schultz will start from second ahead of Russell Clark and Aidan Coote. Angus Cook starts from 5th with Robert Cook alongside him. Dean Williams and Braden Martin share the 4th row of the grid. Sean Doyle and Cameron Dance 9th and only 10th for Dance.
In 11th place is Tony Clark, Matt Marsh alongside. Then Nathan Verney in 13th and Matthew Mites in 14th. Kevin Henderson is in 15th. Vic Bentveltsen 16th. Dennis Hancock 17th as they are. Isaac Summers 18th. Julian Mookie 19th. And Russell Marsh 20th.
21st for the start of this one will be Peter Wilkinson, Ara Felberg on the outside of row 11. Leon Williams and Jeremy Davis behind them. Jack Patterson and Jeremy Bush, Connor Brown and Matthew Joy round out our 28 cars. And then, of course, our 2 in-race admins casting a judicial eye over the race progression. 14 laps in length, weather 24 degrees track temp, so relatively cool and relatively standard for Aussie car conditions.
Yeah, not a bad day beside the lakes here. Canada, not far away. Beautiful spot.
A lake or an ocean?
No, it's between 2 of the Great Lakes, so it's the straits between. I'm going to say probably Lake Michigan and Lake something else.
A few seconds, maybe about 30, before we start this race. It's an island of the Detroit River, according to Google. 15 seconds. Again, for McLeod, well, he led off the start last race, but he put himself in the fence about 3/4 of the way into the event. So for him, he just needs to make sure he keeps that car clean and focuses on bringing it home before he focuses on winning this race. The red lights are on for the final time in Belle Isle. Green flag is out and we are underway. Good jump from Mitchell McLeod. John Schultz tucks into line ahead of Russell Clark and Aidan Coote will squeeze in there as well as the top 7 or 8 go single file through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, perfect launch from your leader. Pole position is on the racing line, plenty of grip there, and he judged the clutch and the timing just perfect. So that gives him just a little bit of a safety buffer coming down towards turn 3. Behind that, as you can see, they all spread out, fan out, and a locked break or 2.
Cameron Dance picking up a few early spots, already into 8th position, I think. Indeed he is, now in behind Dean Williams, and looking like he might make a move. This will be opportunistic, it is. He wants to get a hurry on, but that is not generally a passing spot. It doesn't work out for him, as he just didn't quite have the room available. Williams is under pressure, and he's sliding out of the corner. That's going to cost him a lot. Dance will get by. Braden Martin will probably go by as well. Maybe Sean Doyle too, if he's able to get to the inside in the braking zone. Does he want to go late enough on the brakes to do it? No, he doesn't. Just tucks in behind as Martin almost actually got to the bumper or gearbox of Cameron Dance.
Yeah, no changes in the top 5, but behind that, there's the action. Sean Doyle around.
Turned by Tony Clark, just a tag to the left rear, enough to send that car spinning. He's gathered it up. Doesn't look like he's got much visible damage, but he'll be a little bit hot under the collar as a result of that. Out front, it is Mitchell McLeod with a handy gap back to Russell Clark, John Schultz, Aidan Coote, Angus Cook, your top 5. So no change amongst them. Robert Cook and Cameron Dance 6th and 7th. So +3 for Dance early on.
Actually, Clark and Schultz, the teammates there, have gone and swapped Clark up into 2nd, I think. Schultz might have had a little bit of an issue because it's really backed him up into Aidan Coote and Angus Cook there, and they are going to think about which way they're battling on the way down the straight towards turn 3.
Coote actually nudged the concrete coming out of turn 2 at the top of the crest, and he hit it very flush. And he's hit Russell Clark as well. That's stacked up. John Schultz and Angus Cook for a moment thought about going to the inside and decided not to. Cameron Dance going to get around him as a result of him backing out of it. That's 6th place for Dance. Yeah, Coot hit the wall very flush and not hard enough to incur any damage, but he'll have to be careful he doesn't do that again, because he got away with that for sure. So too, the mistake at turn 3.
Yeah, cool heads on lap 1, but lap 2, it all goes off here from second on back. This is letting Mitch McLeod get away, but here comes Dance with another run. He's nabbed 2 spots so far this lap. He can't make it one more just yet.
Very good from Dance. Controlled aggression on the first 2 laps. He would have been annoyed by his qualifying speed or lack thereof. Looking to make things right. That corner, so deceiving. It looks like when you come out of the left-hander that you can make a look to the inside for the right, but that's just where the racing line takes you. It opens up the inside and the move is never really on. That's contact further back in the field. Series organizer Ira Felberg is involved in that. A couple other slow cars with damage as a result. Cameron Dance is now squeezing his way to the inside of Aiden Coote, and that'll be moved done at turn 1, and as he crosses the line, he's in 4th.
Yep, charged through the field from a qualifying that might not have been optimal, but he has been fleet-footed around the concrete barriers so far.
Big slide out of turn 2. Coote is not looking too comfortable through that corner today. Isaac Summers is on pit road. First car we've seen to make what might be a scheduled stop. Didn't see any damage on his car that would bring him down there. Coote unable to complete the re-overtake on Dance. He will settle into 5th. Some of these guys are getting really close to the fence. In fact, I reckon Angus Cook might have hit it.
Yeah, Aiden Coote there just sliding through turn 4, collecting a little bit of concrete. And it's a bit of a sticky barrier there as well, so you don't want to get too familiar with it too often. Somehow, Coote is rolling with these hits and still going, but he is dropping down the positions ever so slightly here, and we have had about a half a dozen to a dozen pit stops, but not from anyone inside of our top 10. I think they're very worried about traffic, about how difficult it can be to pass on this street circuit. They're all staying out so far.
This is good for McLeod. Now that he's leading, he's got no pressure from behind, so he shouldn't be forced into that error he made in race 1. He can afford to just take it a little bit easy with a 2.9 second advantage. Lap 3 of 14 about to go in the books. I doubt he'll be pitting too early in this one, as Dance has actually got to the outside, because coming to pit road is our first leading driver, John Schultz. Decides now is the time to pit, wants a bit of clean air, but he might find himself rejoining in traffic.
Yeah, so a couple of them have decided to go for it. Schultz, Cook, Williams, Dennis Hancock. We're starting to see some of our drivers a bit higher up the order go for pit lane.
About 7 or so drivers between 45 to 59 seconds behind the field. We'll see where Schultz rejoins as your top 3 rejoin the track, and Schultz actually rejoins right behind Leon Williams. So 31 seconds, or just under, lost in pit road. Ira Felberg also right in front of Robert Cook. Awkward spot, but they shouldn't be held up too much. Might get held up at turn 3. See if Williams gives the spot up to Schultz. He does.
Yeah, easy done. Schultz with a spot. Cook looking at grabbing a position away from Leon Williams as well. Those guys cleanly get on through the pointy end of the field. Dance motoring along has caught the back of Russell Clark. Clark is pretty well just matching lap times with the leader McLeod, so that overall lead has stayed round about 3 seconds, but the guys behind are either keeping pace or starting to close it up a little bit. And keep in mind, this is McLeod's first pit stop race in this Skip Barber series.
Wonder if he knows it's 2 tyres. Using all of the available racetrack on the exit of turn 13, turn 14 being the kink just before the line. Definitely close enough to make Clark worried, but not close enough to feel he is able to make the move into 1. Focusing on the exit instead from turn 2 to get the slipstream down the very long straight into turn 3. On the outside though, this could be a little bit dicey if Clark doesn't relinquish and roll over for the spot. He doesn't. They'll go wheel to wheel, but the momentum around the outside, the pace and grip advantage that Dance has, he's able to take P2 away, and it's taken him 5 laps to go from 10th to 2nd. 3 seconds the gap to the lead.
Set the fastest lap of the race on his way to doing it, so he has clearly got the tyres about where he wants them now. He's pressing on, but I'm sure it will be on their minds that Dance and Clark are battling for this championship. McLeod is not in it. You want to grab the race wins. You want to always be the fastest guy on the day, but championship-wise, they can kind of discount him if they want to.
They can. They certainly can. But the racer in all of us wants to win, don't we?
Yeah, precisely. That's the competing ambitions of the mind versus the heart for Dance and Clark here, where they just want to be the guy who gets more points than the other one. So how much do you risk? How much do you put on the line trying to chase the lead of the race when second would do just fine?
Mitchell McLeod responded to Dance's lap and actually went 2/10 quicker than him on that last trip around. So he's actually got some very good pace under the hood of that machine. Aiden Coote under a lot of pressure from Angus Cook. He moves over, and I think he's actually letting Angus Cook go by here. You could see in the foreground that Russell Clark was shaping for a move and ultimately backed out of it, but that looked a little bit close. Move made for Angus Cook.
Yeah, did pull out of the toe, then slot back in, and we saw him be very, very patient in race 1 as well. So maybe that's the strategy here from Clark. Just hope that Dance can tow him along for a bit, and then still got pit stops to happen, and hope that he can execute cleaner on that. Maybe try a different strategy than Dance.
Connor Brown in 7th, by the way, plus 20. Been handed a few spots thanks to pit stops, but still a very good opening half of the race for him. He's got John Schultz just behind, first runner, who's made a pit in this one. He should get by him. Probably at the exit of the back straight.
Schultz has been losing time in the traffic here, the early stop. I'm not sure it's worked out particularly well for him. We'll see how close he is to Clark, who he was close with before they went for the pit stops. But
well, last lap, 9/10 slower than Russell Clark was John Schultz. So this is working out terribly for him. And I reckon he got held up on this lap as well, certainly through turn 3.
it's a difficult game to play to know exactly when to take that pit stop. But often we see the drivers either go for it early or go for it late. I think the winning strategy in last week was the second to last lap, was it not? So you don't often see the pit stops happen right in the middle here. The drivers want to either get it out of the way early or fight for all of that track position and hope they don't get caught in traffic late.
Yeah, undercut versus overcut. You never want to get caught in the middle because then you're doing neither strategy and you're losing ground to the guys that undercut and you'll lose ground to the guys that overcut. So it very much is a case of do it early, do it late in these races. And most races as well, that stands true. Two-car battles. Dance and Clark, Coote and Cook. Separated by 3 seconds, those 4 drivers. And making no inroads on our race leader.
Yeah, no inroads, but still it hovers around 3.1, 3.2 seconds like it has been a couple of laps here. So I think maybe they've settled into the rhythm a little bit here in second and third.
There was a bit of smoke at turn 11 there. I don't think it was Mitchell McLeod having a mistake. He's still up the road. The gap's still 3.4. I wonder if Dance convinced Clark he was maybe about to pit then. He was just covering off the inside, but he almost ended up in pit road. As coming into pit road, though, is Angus Cook. So he's gotten out of the battle with Coote. as Clark actually did the fastest lap of the race last time by. 43.5.
Yep, even on a street circuit like this, the slipstream's always good for a couple tenths of a second. So he closed the gap up to Dance just a little bit on that one, and it was enough to give him fastest lap of the race. Here comes Cook out the pit lane and comfortably clear of John Schultz. So strategy's not looking so hot for Schultz with that early pit stop.
No, it's not. He's pulled a bit of a misplay there. We have seen generally in Aussie car competition, the overcut is the way to go. Obviously, he was in traffic. He wanted to get out of it at the time, and unfortunately, put himself into more traffic that was actually slower than the one he was in.
Sickening incident. Dennis Hancock, who's that with him there? Hancock was in a very awkward spot on the racing line, exited turn 2. It's a bit blind there, and he has been collected.
But by who? Here we go. Motor simulation replay going to show us this incident. Dennis Hancock comes through turn 1, runs wide. Was it contact from behind or understeer? It was contact. Turns him around. Ends up in the fence, collected by someone else. He actually kept it off the concrete, but this is a bad spot. And someone else was coming along there to collect him, I think. He stayed with the shot. This will be a nerve-wracking image as we look onwards to the oncoming traffic.
And this is where it happens. You know, he's in a difficult position here, trying to get the car around. Dodges one bullet, and then...
Oh, that is a big crunch. Tearing to pieces both of those skippies. Race-ending damage for them. Meanwhile, new fastest lap from Mitch Cloud, and no change in the battle between Dance and Clark. I wonder if Clark is just holding station at the moment, waiting for a little bit later on in the race, but Dance can't come back at him.
Yeah, it's obviously very, very close, has been for a couple of laps, and it is battle between our top 2 in the championship as well. So they've had some of the wind and glory taken out of their sails by Mitch McLeod leading this race, but it is still of critical importance to this championship, and a very exciting little prospect of a battle as well. Again, Dance kind of fakes to the pit lane where Mitchell McLeod is right now. So these two guys are going to carry on. Is this early stop and cold tyre is going to maybe hurt Mitch McLeod.
We'll see how this works out. He should rejoin in a decent position ahead of anyone else and without anyone in front of him, but we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. Front tyres get jacked up. So he knows the strategy of take front tyres. Comes out of pit lane, good stop for him. And he will rejoin in a bucket clean air.
Yep, about what we'd expect. Handful of seconds clear of Angus Cook. The real question is this outlap with cold tyres going to cost him enough time that Dance and Clark could overcut? Maybe it costs you 2 seconds a lap, and they went 2 laps longer, they could do something about it. But I think McLeod had reached that point where he saw his lead was 4 seconds, and he thought that's a comfortable enough gap.
Yeah, I think you're right. Unless he makes a mistake with those cold tyres, but you never know. We won't know until Dance and Clark both make their stop. Which I reckon might come on this lap in response to McLeod, because I know if he's going to make a mistake on cold tyres, it'll come on this lap, and it'll be their only opportunity to be ahead of him after they're stopping. Yes, they'll have cold tyres as well, but then they'll have the benefit of track position. They don't come in. Going to push it even longer.
If the gap was half a second, I think you'd react the next lap, and you'd have similar tires to them, but have had that one lap where you were faster. Whereas here, with the gap 4 seconds as it was, if these guys can now go 2-3 laps longer, they might be able to get that 4 seconds. But this is a little less playing nice than it was the first half of the race right here.
I don't know if Clark wanted to actually make the move or not, but either way, Dance covered it off and it held up both of them. So we'll see. He did shape for a move on the little short shoot between 3 and 4, which might be sending a message to Dance that he does want to get by. That's a mistake from Cameron Dance. Almost got the concrete on the inside. There's a little gutter that runs along the bottom of the concrete there, which can unload the car, which is not great for your exit speed, but it's still better than hitting it. Fence, that is. Also a lapped car, I've just noticed, in front of these guys.
Is that maybe what tempted McLeod into pitting a little bit earlier? Is the cold tyres are a known quantity. A bit of lap traffic is not a known quantity. Thankfully, it doesn't look like it's going to be a problem for Dance and Clark. But again, it's that uncertainty and that risk.
The
bit of debris there.
Yeah, the uncertainty may have forced him.
I think I can see who it's come from. Who's going to be wanted to go for pit in?
Goodness me. Cameron Dance maybe should have just committed to come to pit lane at that point. Now, it won't have held him up if he kept his foot to the floor.
Oh, they're about half a second off what they did last lap. Who knows how much of that was in turn 3 and how much of it was just then. But you kind of would have thought that damaged, crippled car heading for pit in was shouldn't have been a surprise. But here we are.
They wouldn't have seen might not have noticed the damage. It's because he was on the left-hand side of the racetrack. Both drivers kept their foot firmly planted to the floor. So the time they lost came at turn 3, as opposed to right there. And maybe some hesitation with the previous lap's car as well, back at turn 10, I think it is. So they'll pit either this lap or the next lap. You can't pit on the final lap of the race. So 2 opportunities left. McLeod's advantage over Schultz is 8 seconds. He's only 26 seconds behind the race leaders. That seems like it's well and truly within the pit window.
Yeah, I would think so. He's done quite a good job on the cold tyres, if I'm honest with you. His last lap, 44.3, only 0.8 of a second off his fastest lap. And with every passing corner, those cold tyres get better and better. So I just don't think Dance and Clark have done enough in those critical 2 laps.
Certainly didn't help the last lap. 2 laps cars, a scare into pit lane. Defensive line into turn 3. Good battle for P10 as well in this one. All right, Dance has made the right turn to pit road, and Russell Clark wants some clean air, so he stays out. He will pit next time by.
There we go. That's an interesting call. And a very, very crucial point of the race here for Cam Dance. Hits his pit stall just perfectly. We often see some variation in how long it takes to change the tyres, between about 10 or 12 seconds. It's a bit of a lottery. Sometimes you can get fortunate. I think Dance has this time. It's going to be close, but I think McLeod will still have it.
Oh, it's going to be very close. No,
back?
Cameron Dance. He is absolutely blown away Mitchell McLeod. In the pit window, which means Russell Clark will have as well. On the last lap, Russell Clark was half a second quicker than Mitchell McLeod. So, I wonder if this clean air might put Clark ahead of Dance when he makes his stop. This is going to be really very interesting.
Pit crew was perfect for Dance. Took him about 11 seconds. McLeod's pit crew took 12 seconds. But really, that 1 second difference there surely isn't enough to account for the gap we see here.
Well, the gap's only 1.5 seconds. Certainly, he might have been close enough to pull a move at turn 3. Either way, suddenly, the fight for the win is wide open, and Cameron Dance might make it
Clark's in the fight too, though. If this is a good in-lap and he also gets a good pit stop, he was right with Dance when they pitted and almost looked quicker at some points.
He did. Kept doing purple laps. Courtesy of the slipstream though as well. So here we go. He comes to pit road. Dance is coming through that double left-handed now. He's won 5 of the last 7, I think. 5 of the last 6, sorry. We can make it 6 from 7. Unofficially. Because that's off my head. Here we go. Dance. Coming past pit entry. This feels like Dance has got this by a long way. Schultz only leaving his bay now. Dance goes by him. So Cameron Dance leads us through our final lap. Oh, there's contact with Mitchell McLeod on the slow car of Jamie Davis. McLeod in the fence. The right rear ripped from the car for a moment. It returns, but he's out. And he will be fuming about that. He could have gone left and he could have gone right. He chose right, and that was the wrong way to go. Clark went left and he snuck through. But how about the pit stop window? Somehow Dance and Clark ended up clear of McLeod. Interesting.
I don't know if McLeod had like a bad in-lap or bad out-lap that we didn't see.
I don't know how Clark's ended up so far behind Dance, because he was on the back of him. Pit stop times.
Near enough within a second between Dance and Clark. Again, Clark's pit stop time about split the difference between Dance and McLeod, really. So pretty on the money for Clark. A sharp, but only by about half a second stop for Dance.
Well, fine margins in the end. It will emerge to be Cameron Dance. Can't seem to be stopped, can he? Even starting from 10th position, Cameron Dance is somehow, through the pit stops, going to emerge as your race leader, and ultimately as your race winner. It is going to be another victory in the Skip Barber season for Cameron Dance as he goes for the double on the streets of Belle Isle.
I'd really counted him out in the first half, but good on him taking the win. Schultz and Cook going to battle 3rd and 4th to the line. Aiden Cook is going to end up in 5th or so.
Once again, Williams a long way back. Slightly more retirements in this one compared to the last, with the addition of 6 extra laps. Vernie there, crossing a line in 10th. Everyone picking up a spot, courtesy of McLeod's stricken car. Last guy to cross the line will be Connor Brown. He's only on the back straight right now, so he crossed the line just in front of our race leaders. Had to do the full extra 3.8 kilometers of the circuit. Let's go through our results then from Belle Isle at the end of race 2. Cameron Dance wins it, this time by 1.5 seconds over Clark. Schultz 3rd. Angus Cook and Aiden Cook 4th and 5th. Robert Cook finishing in 6th ahead of Braden Martin. Matt Marsh in 8th, plus 4 for him. Dean Williams 9th, and Nathan Verney up in 10th.
Gillian Mookie then in 11th. Vic Bent-Veltzen we saw in 12th. Isaac Summers finishing in 13th. Peter Wilkinson 14th. Ira Fellberg in 15th. Connor Brown has just come through to finish in 16th. Mitch McLeod has not made it to the line, or is that flipped back the other way? Who knows? 18th, though, is showing Leon Williams. 19th, Jack Patterson. And 20th, Matthew Joy in the retirements there.
Yep. Tony Clark, Sean Doyle, Jamie Davis, Dennis Hancock. Davis was that car involved with McLeod on the last lap. Russell Marsh, Jeremy Bush, Matthew Mites, Kevin Henderson round out the 28 cars at the end of race 2. Let's have a chat then to Cameron Dance, and it's another win for you. You get ever closer to the top of the championship as we head to our final rounds. It didn't make it easy for you, though.
Yeah, it was. That's probably been my hardest fought victory. That one, with the fact that I ended up stuffing quali and having to start P10. So, yeah, I'll take that one. Considering I started all the way just inside the back of the top 10. But yeah, that was a awesome race with Russell. I wasn't actually sure we were going to jump Mitch in the end, but we did, which was quite fascinating. But it is what it is. So yeah, I'll take the points and the win.
Yeah, we were surprised by your advantage over McLeod as well. Surprised too by the advantage over Russell too, because he was right on the back of you. It looked like he might have been faster when he was right behind. Did you feel you had a really good outlap potentially to open up that gap?
I'm not entirely sure what happened between me entering pit lane and getting around and ending up passing him. I'm not sure whether I was just a better pit stop, or whether I had a better outlap, or whether he wasn't quite as aggressive on the lap previous to when I had pitted, or what the story was. But yeah, it was a little bit strange coming as far ahead as I did, and I was expecting him to be right on my tail, but is what it is. I mean, you can't really predict that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's pretty much is what it is.
Next round to championship finale. You're in the hunt. You're going to be close. Maybe not as close as you'd like. Any extra preparation going to go in to maybe try and steal the championship away, or are you just going to turn up and hope for the best?
I don't know. It's really going to depend on what my week looks like. But yeah, I might put a bit more laps in. There's Barber as well, which is a kind of a good place to finish the championship off. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, and looking forward to it. I mean, it's been a pretty close fight all season with Russell and everybody else. So yeah, looking forward to it and seeing what happens, and may the best man win.
Going to be great fun to watch next week at the same time, 9 p.m., 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Thursday night. Who else do you want to thank before we let you go?
Shout out to everybody on track, Mitch, Russell, all the guys for the awesome racing. Cheers to you guys for putting on the awesome broadcast, Ira for the awesome series, and also shout out to the boys at TechSense, Fitstyle Motorsport, and Kiwi Simulators and Hyperstimulator.
Thank you very much, Cam. Good job on the double today, and go get it next week at Bubba. I think that will just about wrap us up here from Belle Isle. Another fascinating 2 races to add to the Aussie Cup for the Skip Barber Series history books. Thank you as always to Simfinity and Virtual Motorsport Mentor for their support of the series. But for tonight, from myself, Ryan Jones, and David Haynes alongside me, and Scott Fontaine behind the scenes, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Assist to the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Rayon Fowler into the outside wall.
Gonna pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's gonna get them all done with. What amazing!
Racely to the inside goes Logan Clapman is gonna touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save!
Look to the outside, and Kroenke goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
Trying this contact though.
Slide left of the racetrack. Chris Benner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the upset the Paravolca. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cutback here. Get the run out the Paravolca.